Well, hi. Welcome to Westbrook and Westbrook Footbridge. We have a nice little trail that comes in from the pavement behind the old school hall in Avondale, and it's less than a kilometer and comes through some interesting areas. And this is sort of the first stop at the Westbrook Footbridge, and then it continues on up into the watershed. Main issue that brought us together was a proposal in 2005 that we learned off to basically sacrifice our watershed to a second open pit gypsum mine on the peninsula. One way in which the mine impacts the surface water, the streams, is that it literally removes the catchment area for the streams. Where the headwaters used to be will be a big pit. So there will be less flow coming down these streams. As well, there will be an impact on groundwater in that the pit will act as a sump that will tend to draw water towards it, and hence have a lowering of the water table, which over time will tend to get larger and larger.
So what's at stake here?
Well, what's at stake, we think, is really the viability of the future of this community. In a way, people may take for granted, just to speak about water, may take water for granted, although not so much here, in that we already have a tight water regime on the peninsula because of our underlying gypsum bedrock. So people have learned over the years to adapt to our water regime by, by switching from various sources that they'll use for their domestic water, for example, or for watering their cows, or using for irrigation on their farms. So it's like we've adapted to what's already a situation where we don't have a lot of extra water. One of the problems is that the we need more opportunity for public participation in the environmental assessment. The way environmental assessment works in Nova Scotia is that basically the proponent hires a consultant to gather up the information. The government then, government civil servants then look at that information and make a decision on the basis of that. So there's, in some ways, the civil servants who have a baseline of information, but they may be sitting in their offices in Halifax, and they just don't necessarily know what the full story is when you get out on the ground. We want the leaders to, first of all, to ensure that there's an adequate environmental assessment here that looks at all the issues, not just the impacts on water, on species at risk, at fish habitat, but also looks at the impacts on our agricultural industry, the future of agriculture on this peninsula, and also our health impacts.